you're running into a guy who is trying to got a girlfriend for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What would you tell him now? Hey, bro, what would you say to him?
I would tell him that it's impossible to keep up. I really do believe that. I feel like if your attention is always, with multiple different women, it's hard to keep up with that. It's hard to really lock into one individual. And I truly believe that there has to be some confusion at some point where you thinking you told one person something and you told this, or you think you took this person somewhere, unless you can juggle all of that, more power to you. But at the end of the day, I do feel like that gets old. And also in that space, it can be lonely because I don't feel like at all times all of your women can be picking up the phone. Like at some point you may be reaching out, everybody's busy, and now you're just sitting there with yourself. So I just don't think it's really a healthy lifestyle, especially as you get older. Like I feel like that it could be more problems than anything, right? Yeah. So how can you juggle all of those emotions? How can you do that?
The truth of the matter is women are a whole lot smarter than some of these guys really think that, so you got to be aware of that.
That's what they say.
Yeah, okay, all right. I want to find out the hard way. But as we go through a conflict, I want to talk about conflict resolutions as we move forward. And if you're just joining us, this is our podcast, Partners in Marriage, and we're spending our time today, these sessions, bridging the gap, man to man, talking young men to guys like me who've been around for several decades. As a matter of fact, I'm in my 7th decade now. Wow. So I realize I got more runway behind me than I have in front of me, so I don't want to waste time. But community is important to me, TJ. And so when we talk, I'm thinking processing in my work, talk with my wife and everyone else. How do we help this generation that you're in know that we can bridge the gap to help you walk through your relationships? And one of the things that we spend a lot of time in is communication. So when we talk about conflict resolution, how do you typically handle a disagreement between you and anybody?
I would say that definitely in my years after graduating, I learned something called solution focus.
Okay.
Right. So as opposed to just dwelling on a problem, how do we solve it? Right. We can go back and forth about how we feel and things like that all day long, but as it relates to resolving the issue, how do we get to that point? Yeah. And as it relates to conflict, I am the type of person, like, I feel like I am capable of handling a situation in that moment. But if my partner is someone who likes to, take a moment, analyze, go from there, I feel like I'm capable of that too.
Okay.
While remaining level-headed, right? Even though some things can be frustrating. And I know for myself, like, my tone can get up there. It can change. Not to say that, like, I'm yelling or anything, but, like, if I'm feeling passionate about a situation, then you'll get that passion from me. But ultimately, again, remaining solution focused, I think that is the best way to resolve conflict.
Let's unpack that a little bit more, because again, I'm disappointed in the way that I'm seeing people able to talk themselves into a relationship and then they cannot work together to talk through a situation. So what would be a step in solution focused that you would say, do this first before you do anything? You mentioned one to me, that if the person want to wait, they're not ready to talk, let's wait that out.
Well, I think, it really does. Hopefully both people understand themselves. And then in that situation, I feel like if we remain on topic with whatever we're discussing, because sometimes in conflict, you can get off topic, you can start, get sidetracked a little bit. But ultimately, when we're saying whatever the issue is, okay, you're not doing the dishes. All right, when would you like the dishes done, right? Because it's not that I haven't done them, it's I haven't done them yet, right? So it's just like, okay, where does the conflict take place, right? Or how do we resolve it? Is it that you want me to do them sooner rather than later, right? So it's just all about where the understanding can come from, right?
Good,
so I feel like as long as those two people have that end goal in mind, right, regardless of if it's the same or not, do you know what your end goal is and I know what mine is, and then you can tell me like what you would like me to do, right, and then I can compromise. Either if it's something that I can get with, then I'll get with it. If not, then I'll go from there. But I think ultimately some people have a problem with compromise. And I feel like if it's not life or death, if it doesn't alter who you are at your core, if it doesn't hurt you in any way, and then at the end of the day, if this is your partner and you want to make them feel better, then you would probably accommodate them, especially in that space, right?
Sure.
So that's where I think that the end goal, if somebody can tell me this bothered me and this is what I would like you to do going forward, as opposed to we're just fussing, then I'm not really with that.
You said something that we use all the time: attack the problem, not the person. Saying, folks, that's old school. We learned from, but it makes sense to me. When you're talking about the communication, what would be a deal breaker for you? Okay, that's it. We can't go any further. What will you say?
My deal breaker is a lack of listening and a lack of comprehending.
Okay.
So I feel like I've been in situations where I can like clearly articulate myself and explain myself, and yet that person still does not understand. So then even in rephrasing it, right, I try to speak sometimes in the simplest terms.
Right.
And my thing is if we're not comprehending simplicity, then I think our communication may just be off, right? So again, for me, it would just be the lack of listening, because sometimes you can speak and somebody's constantly cutting you off, or you may finish a thought and then someone's not comprehending, and then it turns into, so what you saying is, right? And it's up to their interpretation, as opposed to accepting just what I said and taking it right there where it's at. There's no room for interpretation. I'm giving it to you straightforward, and I'm also somebody who tries to be transparent and candid. Not saying that it comes off offensive. I would hope I'm not offending anybody, but at the same time, I believe that transparency is key in any situation. I don't like to leave room for interpretation. I don't want anybody to think something else. Like, no, I feel like I can be honest. I can be, transparent with individuals.
So with all of your skills, training, and who you are as a person, how do you close this, bring closure to something to say, we're trying to help someone out there to say, okay, we understand each other and here's how we move forward?
Again, my thing is action. I'm an action-oriented person, because we can talk all day long, but then it's like in that next space, how do you show somebody? So again, if we're using that example with the dishes, all right, you want these dishes done sooner rather than later, I can start showing you that I won't procrastinate on these dishes anymore, right? I can just prove myself. That's it. So if there's an issue where I've wronged you or if I hurt you, all I can do is say, look, I'm gonna try my best not to do it again. And then all you can do is evaluate my behavior from there.
Yeah, that's good. TJ, as we move forward here, you're into something that we talk about called shared responsibilities. Now, anyway, I like the your example of dishes, because now we're talking shared responsibility. When you consider envisioning your home or chores or financial commitment, how do you see that as shared responsibility? What's your vision on that?
I think shared responsibility is exactly what it is. Like, it is a shared thing. I truly believe that, like if I was in me and my partner were in a living situation, I wouldn't put it on her to do all of the cooking, right? I feel like, 7 days in a week, maybe she's cooking 3 of them or 4 of them, and I'm cooking 2 of them, and then maybe one of those days we're going out to eat, right? So there's that compromise in there.
So you can cook?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a chef, but I know how to survive. I take care of me very well.
Okay. All right.
I'll leave it like that. I got a few meals under my belt. That's about it.
All right.
No, so I just feel like, if she can cook, I don't want that to be on her all the time. Now, there are some things that I just don't think she should be doing, like trash, that's me. Like, I'll take the trash out,
Oh, yeah.
Laundry, I'm also capable of doing laundry. So, I grew up with chores, and I like to tell women I'm domesticated. That's the way I use it. Because as a single man, I am cleaning my own house right now. I am folding my own clothes. I am cooking my own meals. So it's not that when I move in with a woman or we move in together that I don't have to do those things anymore. No, I'll still keep the upkeep of the house going.
So she won't be your maid.
No, she don't have to. Because in most situations, women are working too. So I wouldn't want my woman to feel like she has to go to work and then come home and go back to work again. I would want to be able to make sure that I'm making her life easy too, just like I would hope she's making mine easy.